Thank you for listening to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast, available on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher. Also, please follow Matt's Movie Reviews on Facebook, YouTube, Parler, and Instagram. And of course, be sure to visit www.mattsmoviereviews.net for the latest reviews, top 10 lists, and more. Now, on to the show.
Where the hell have you been, Barry?
You know what I like about you, Barry? You don't say much. But you're a good listener.
You're absolutely fucking right. You're not the father. You're a useless piece of shit.
So what are you doing here, man? How did they catch you? Yeah! You did something bad. Kill someone.
You're not my husband, are you?
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I am your host, Matthew Pejkovic, and this is episode number 346. Out now on Shudder is Fried Barry, a unique sci-fi comedy hybrid that follows a drug addict named Barry, whose body is possessed by a mysterious alien presence and taken on a joyride through Cape Town. Equally bizarre, brilliant, and gritty, Fried Barry is sure to be seen as a cult classic without equal. And joining me now on the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is the director of Fried Barry, Ryan Kruger. Ryan, I thank you very much for joining me today.
Hey, Matt. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I got to say, first off, more than anything else, I just want to thank you for giving me such a unique viewing experience. You know, I watch so many movies throughout the week and review so many things. To come across something like Fried Barry was just fantastic, really, because it really kept me on my toes. I didn't know what to expect. And I went back and I watched the short film that the movie that you first did, which was also called Fried Barry, 3 minutes long, very well received. For those who haven't seen it, should really find it on YouTube. It pretty much shows the man in the throes of heroin addiction. And it was just simply remarkable to watch that film as it is to watch the feature that came afterwards. I was curious though, when did the idea come from to kind of expand on that short film, and how did the whole kind of concept of aliens kind of come into play, because that's not featured in that short film?
Yeah, when I made the short film, where I was in my career, because I come back, I make narrative music videos, and I've done commercials and stuff, and a lot of them are quite visual and stuff. And doing those, I get to do what I want, but I'm kind of still in a box in the sense of, it's got to fit the music and it has to get on TV, and there's all these like rules, and it puts me in a box. So when I made Fried Barry the short, it was I just got frustrated, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna make 8 experimentals over the next 4.5 years, which I'm still doing now. And funny enough, the first one was Fried Barry, the 3-minute experimental, and it was just cool because I could do what I wanted to do. I could do 100% my style, do what I wanted to do, didn't have to answer to anybody, didn't have to cut anything. And yeah, it was just me being able to do what I wanted. And it was, the short film really got, a lot of attention, awards and official selections around the world. But there was never ever meant to be a feature film. It was only like afterwards where I went through a bit of a hard time. Had something wrong with my kidney, had an operation, I got sepsis, nearly died, lost my girlfriend at the time, and my cat had cancer, and it was just this, and then depression followed on after that, and I was just down and out, and I was just in this hole, and I was like, what is the number one thing that I've always wanted to do? And it was, to make a movie. So it was kind of my medicine to do this. And I've come close so many times before to try and make a movie, and then it just fades away. It doesn't happen. So I was just like, right, I'm going to do it myself. I'm just going to do it. And yeah, and Fried Barry came out of pure frustration of where I was and depression, and was just like, right, I need to do this thing. And then when I got the idea the one night, it all just came together, and I knew exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 days later, within 3 days, I wrote a 50% scene brief breakdown. I had all these other scripts that I could have chose, but also, again, where I wanted to do something super creative and nothing like set in stone or concrete, to be open, to be creative. And, after that, a month later, we were shooting the film, and, we shot the film over a year and a half, only 28 days. And the movie was developing as we were going.
The character of Barry is played by Gary Green, both in the short film and in the feature. He's a incredibly unique person, both in his look and his acting style. He commands the screen. He's on the screen pretty much throughout the whole movie, which I think
I think
just
there's like
90 minutes.
Yeah, I think there's like one scene that he's not in, and then every other scene he's in.
And it's quite remarkable that, and from what I've read about him, has worked in films, but he's not necessarily an actor. How did you meet him, and how did you know that he was the one to be Barry in your movies?
Yeah, well, it was funny. So I've known Gary now for about 11 years. I met him on this like independent little film where both of us was doing like a little featured part in this like feature film, indie film about 11 years ago. And for me, I also come from an acting background as well. And I always love characters. So Gary's just got this unique look, and he's just got this presence. And over the years, I've put him in like, because he normally does like extra work and stuff like that. And because of his look, sometimes he gets featured and stuff like that. So over the years, I've put him in like music videos, short films within music videos and stuff like that. And then when I had the idea to do the 3-minute experimental Fry Barry, I was like, I've got to use Gary. I've got to put him in this. He's perfect for it. So when I came to the feature, I was just like, because he's not a trained actor and stuff like that, it had like the story had to be right. The character had to be right. It couldn't have lots of dialogue because he wouldn't be able to do it. And just the overall like training as an actor and hitting the beats and, doing all the, playing the lead man is a big deal. And with Fry Barry, the movie relies on this character. So as I said, it had to be the right story, the right character, and I built the movie around him to make it work. And that was the thing. And the funny thing was, I did a lot of improv with a lot of actors on Fry Barry, but working with Gary, he was the only one that didn't improv. So I had to work with him super closely. And before we started filming, he knew that this is the storyline, but he never had a script. He never 30 minutes to an hour before every day I was shooting, he didn't know what we were doing until I told him. So I didn't want him to overthink anything. I didn't want him to prep anything. I needed that clean slate every single day to work with him. Otherwise, if he did start doing stuff, it would be my job even harder to take all that shit away, so just so I can, get exactly where I wanted it to be. But the funny thing is his character, mimics all these characters that he meets. And when it came to direction, I was saying to Gary, on the side of the camera, okay, copy my face. Now do this face. Okay, now do that face. And at the same time, I was busy editing the movie in my head. So I was like, okay, cool. I've got this reaction. I've got that reaction. I've got this offbeat, weird reaction. And so as I'm editing in my head, it looks like he's hitting all these comedy beats, as we went along. But yeah, I just had to be super hands-on with him, and so there was no improv from him or anything. It was very. I mean, the only other thing I gave Gary to look at was Edward Scissorhands, where it's where Johnny Depp's character is just like this guy that like stumbles about and stuff like that and looks around, and that's all, literally all I gave him. And but yeah, I mean, he's nobody could have done this part than him. He's got that look, he's got the right, and he's just perfect for it. Nobody could have done this, and he did an amazing job. He was always willing to do another take, and yeah, we had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, absolutely. I can't foresee anyone doing anything like that either. I mean, it's just, I think sometimes throughout film history, there's just the perfect actor for that perfect role. And I think what Gary did with Barry is that thing, especially. This movie has so many incredible visual sequences. Two that really stuck with me afterwards: the alien abduction scene and the birth scene.
Yeah.
Speaking of those two scenes in particular, how do you come up with your ideas? Do you have a visual diary? Do you jot down stuff? Do you find inspiration from other films, or is it just purely imagination? How do you come up with these things? Because it's just remarkable how you really pulled it off.
Thanks, man. I'm one of those people that every time I get like an idea, like I write it down.
Yeah.
Always make a note of it, because sometimes they're like the best ideas, and then you forget. And I'm to blame myself as well sometimes, where I think of something and then the next day I didn't write it down, and then you can't remember, but you knew it was a really good idea. But a lot of my influences as well is a lot comes from like 80s cinema. Like I love movies from the 80s. So yeah, it's a mixture of other films that I've seen and references that I've seen within 80s cinema, and then you take a bit from that, you borrow a bit from that, and then you mash it up, and then you make it your own, you make it different, and that's it. It's just it's just one of those things. And then and even like sometimes just with Fried Barry as well, there's on the day, because like I said, I didn't want to set anything in concrete, so sometimes I'd get a better idea on the day, or another idea that we could shoot, and it's great to be in that organic process where nothing's set in stone, because that's the thing with most films. You go on set, you either learn your lines or the director directs it, whatever is on the script. And I think to have that freedom, like as an actor myself as well, it's one of those things where I love improv.
Yeah.
So it's nice where you can just feel free and be in that moment, and then just go with it. So even though there was a bit of improv, it's still, it'd be like, okay, let's try this. And then it'll be like, cool, okay, this is cool. Maybe say this, maybe say that, and let's do it again. And then, and then we film it. And I think it's cool to be in that space. And that's where all the magic happens,
I was listening to a bunch of interviews that you gave, as a researcher for our interview, and there's something really interesting you said, was that you totally expect for this movie, people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it. There's no middle ground here. It's going to be those two separate camps. When it comes to your films, when it comes to your work, whether it be Fried Barry or anything else that you've done, do you always seek that kind of extreme reaction to your work? Is that where, the gives you satisfaction that you move someone in one way or another through your visuals, through your work?
Yeah, it's a yes and it's a no, because I also don't want to just do one thing, in one genre. So it's nice to, like, if you look at like, for example, Danny Boyle, he's got like Trainspotting, he's got The Beach, and he's got 28 Days Later. They're all completely different. So with Fried Barry, it was like the inner kid in me. Like if this film came out when I was like 12, I would have loved this movie. So so all those like 80s kids that they used to watch all these certain type of films. There's so many Easter eggs and in Fried Barry, and it's just a fun movie, and you can't take this film too seriously, because it's just there's a lot of depth. And this is the thing, like there's a lot of depth in the film, and there's a lot of like messages in the film. But if you don't go into it open-minded, you're not going to get it. And that's why the people that do get it see all these extra little things, whether it's the darker side of humanity, and it's meant to feel disjointed. The movie, it's less about the story, and it's about the experience, and it's meant to feel disjointed as things go along. And it's maybe that society is crazy, and it's actually not the alien. It's just things that happen around us all the time.
Yes, absolutely. You spoke before about how during the lead up to making Fried Barry, you went through a very rough patch in your life. Now that you've made that film, now you've done it, you Fried Barry's out there, people watching it, and there's such a great positive reaction towards it. What's the feeling been like for you on the other end of this? Do you feel like now that you've finally accomplished this great thing, and you've exercised some demons, and now you're ready to press on to the next thing?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge, it's a very big deal for me. This is my first film. It's been my childhood, dream to make a film. So it's this journey so far has been absolutely amazing, and I'm grateful for that, bad time that I went through, even though it was the worst time I went through. But if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't have this film. So it's such a very personal, film to me in that sense. But once you've made the one film, it satisfied me to an extent. But then it's also like you're just never happy, in a sense where you're like, oh, okay, I got to make another film now. So and that's good. I think that's normal. It's you always want to move on to the next one and do different things and not to get typecasted. And that's why I'm saying with Fried Barry, it's that love or you hate. The people that love it will rave about it, and the people that don't like it is split between two. It's either like, I hate it, I can't stand it, I don't get it. And then the other half of the haters will be like, it's not my cup of tea, but I like it because of this and this and this. And I can understand why people think this and this. And then the other people are just, they just rave about it, and it's cool. And that's the whole thing with Fried Barry. It's designed to be exactly what it is in every aspect of visually entertaining, the way it's the way it's edited, the music, the camera work. It's all designed to it's a journey, it's experience. And I always say it's like a road movie without a car, but Barry's the car. And and we're getting to see that darker side of humanity, and that's why I said you can't take this film too serious. It's a film. It's meant for sit back and just enjoy it. Don't look into it too much in the sense of what it is, but it's not for everybody, and it's made for a certain market, and there's a lot of people that is not in that target market that also like it. So it really depends how open-minded you are, and if you don't go into it open-minded, you're just going to have a bad trip.
Well, I got to say that I absolutely loved Fried Barry. I love the work that you've done here, and everyone out there listening, it is available now on Shudder. I recommend you check this film out. If you're looking for something unique, if you're looking for art, if you're looking for something to really push your boundaries, Fried Barry is the movie for you. And Ryan Kruger, I thank you very much for your time today. I can't wait to see what else you're going to do in the future, and hopefully when that time comes, we can talk again.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.